reworking hypercharges. Her super can now go in all directions. Nita as Hyper can spawn her bear 100% faster, and range gets buffed. Colt's super can now curve onto the enemy. Bull can knock back 20%, making the enemy stunned for 2.5 seconds. Brock can airstrike to the nearest enemy and heal him for 2,000 health. El Primo stuns the enemy for 1 second and 80% bigger range. Barley quickly poisons the enemy for 2.5 seconds, dealing 1,000 damage. When Poco shoots the enemy with his super, he gives the enemy a positioning effect for 10 seconds. Rosa now has a shield that deflects anything for the hypercharge duration. Jesse's turret now walks and stuns the enemy for 0.5 seconds when Shocky hits the enemy. Dynamic's super now sticks to the enemy. Tick's head stuns the enemy and explodes with mines that stick into enemies. Eight-Bit's turrets follows 8-Bit. Rico bullets go in all directions and curves on the enemies. Daryl now has 3 supers, and instead of knockbacking in, pulls them in and stuns them for 1 second. Penny's turret slows the enemy by 100%, allowing them to burn longer. When the enemy hits the middle of the super, they get stunned for 3 seconds and slows anyone down in a radius by 300%. M's super now keeps on spraying and slows down anyone near. Stu's super now knocks back and gets a 90% bigger range, and super can be used continuously. When Piper is using her super, she continuously drops bombs. Frank's super is now in a circle and pulls the enemy into him, making them stunned for even longer. Edgar can jump twice and gets a cooldown speed buff for a few seconds. Maisie's range is 150% bigger and pulls the enemy in, and the enemy gets stunned for 1.5 seconds. Pearl's super doesn't lose all her heat and gains 50% of it, and also pulls the enemy into her, allowing her to get a burning area. When Mortis kills the enemy, he revives the enemy and makes it his teammate for 10 seconds. Tara's super now one-shots the enemies and destroys unbreakable walls. Buzz is able to stun the enemy 3 seconds longer, and the super does 1.5k damage if he lands it. Otis' super now affects the enemy team if they are bunched up. Melody Notes slows enemies down by 60% and spawns more notes. Spike's super now stuns the enemy inside the super until it ends. Leon now can give invisibility if the teammate is near him. Surge's super now stuns the enemy for 4 seconds. When Bibi hits someone, she gains her whole health and she spawns bubbles. This goes in all directions. Nani's super now goes through obstacles and leaves a trail of fire. Gale now blinds the enemy, allowing it not to see anything. Colette range is 90% bigger and stuns the enemy. Belle's super slows the enemy and makes the spotting shot go 200% faster. Ash's each rats slow the enemy down by 100%. Angelo's super can now throw it to teammates and sticking to them, allowing the whole team to poison. Barry's super heals him and his teammates' whole health and heals other things. Jean's super is 50% faster and bigger, and if Jean grabs the enemy fully, they get knockbacked and stunned for 2 seconds. Max now makes the enemies 500% slower and makes the team 500% faster. Sprout's range is now bigger, and if the enemy hits it, they get deflected back to the enemy and doing more damage. Squeak can now stun the enemy for 1 second and bounces 5 times. Lou instantly freezes the enemy and gives the team a 60% attack buff and spawns 2 supers. Ruffs now spawns 7 asteroids that follows to the nearest enemy. Fang's super now connects through the enemy 5 times in a row. Eve's super is now indestructible and spawns 5 babies a second. Janet's rockets now stun the enemy and give Janet more control. Gray spawns a portal that makes you immune to everything for the hypercharge duration. If you get caught in the super, you get damaged inside 1,000 damage a second. So if the super finishes, you have low health. Miko's super is bigger and faster. Crow's super slows the enemy. Sandy now makes the enemy slower by 250%. Cordelia's enemy now gets damaged 3,000 damage a second.